for being here. We apologize for the mix-up last week. I'm not even sure if you guys were aware there was a mix-up. We're supposed to have the meeting last week, and there was a glitch in the email system, so the email never actually came out to parents. So it was the three of us in here, and when we saw that there were no parents, we figured, wow, the parents must really know everything they need to know about health education, and we're all good. Come to find out that the email never actually made it to parents. So we had to make sure that obviously that went out, and we appreciate the flexibility and quick turnaround for everybody. But and we're going to go ahead and get started just to be aware of everyone's time. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Michael Tisha. I am the K-8 Health and PE curriculum leader here in the district. I also teach PE and health here at the high school, along with coaching high school basketball and baseball here as well. My first 6 years was spent at Saks doing health, and I was also over at East where I did health and PE. And I've now been at the high school now for 3 years. So I really enjoyed the experience and getting to know all these kids through a wide range. Along with us today is Christine Orlando to my left. She is in her 28th year of teaching here in New Canaan. She teaches health at Saks and also over at South as well. And Jill Carenti, our deputy superintendent, is also here as well. Nick Hawtaw is a health teacher at Saks as well, and he also does health over at East. He is currently at East right now, doing a few lessons currently. And then Tim Stella, who you can see up in that far photo over there, is over at West, and he is doing PE and health as well. So that makes up our health and PE crew with K through 5. So we're going to go ahead and get the ball rolling here. Just a quick little overview of what we're going to do here today. Go over the vision of health education here in New Canaan. Talk about the skills-based health. That's kind of our vision and what we do. Go over the implementation of K through 5 and break through a little bit of the skill development and units of study. Just out of curiosity, how many of you here are K-4 parents? Is anybody here a fifth grade parent? Okay, so we'll be able to get through all of those, and you'll see a variety of different pieces of work that students do to go along with everything. So this slide right here is going to go over the vision. This is kind of like our North Star, we like to call it, in terms of health education. And what we're trying to do in terms of the outcome is students hopefully being equipped with the skills necessary to improve their health literacy, fostering the capability to make informed decisions in order to lead a healthy lifestyle. So there's a variety of ways that we try and do this. Now, we work off of 8 national health standards, and the first one is core concepts. So these are all things that we want our students to know. So these would be the concepts that are embedded within the curriculum. Now, if you think back to probably a time when, I know for when I was in health education back in elementary and middle school, I'm sure a lot of you as well, a lot of it was core concept based, where you would get a textbook, you would have to understand the information, you would take a test on it, and that would be the tell of, did you understand what the information's about, right? That was basically the premise behind it. So when you think of our curriculum, what we're trying to promote in a variety of different topics, you have personal wellness, personal safety, alcohol, tobacco, and other drug-free lifestyle, healthy eating, so on and so forth. So those are the core concepts that will be in place throughout the entire curriculum. Now, from the other standards, this is where our skill-based approach comes in. These are all the things that we hope our students can do, right? So when we combine all of these things together, that's ultimately building what we talk about with the health literacy. And if we can do that, and it's seemed to be pretty effective to this point, it hopefully will produce students as critical thinkers, problem solvers, responsible and productive citizens, self-directed learners, and effective communicators. So basically what you'll see throughout this presentation is each one of our grade levels, K through 5, will go through a different standard and skill. And throughout that, you'll see a bunch of the different core concepts embedded within it. Okay, and this will be a little bit clearer as we go, but this is basically the vision that we have. This has been something that's been ongoing for quite a few years now, and from my perspective, it's been something that's very, very effective, and I just can speak on my own behalf because of the fact that I started at Saks and got to see last year's graduating class from New Canaan High School from 5th grade on. So in order to be able to see their progression through health and to see that they've really understood a lot of what we've done, was really, really rewarding. I actually had a student last year for senior health do their presentation it was basically just on personal wellness, and he actually relayed and put images back to when he was in 5th and 6th grade. And it was really eye-opening, and it was really awesome to see. So it's been pretty effective. In terms of skill development, this is kind of how we break down the skills for our students. And if you think about it, it's just kind of a linear progression here. The first thing you'll do with any skill is introduce it, talk about why it's important and the relationship to whatever the concept or content is. Okay, that'd be step 1. Step 2 is then to present the skill and the steps that we're trying to take. Step 3 would be to model the skill for the students, and this has really been something that's effective. From my perspective, as a kid, I was very much a visual and tactile learner. I was not very good at, like, here's a sheet of paper and can you understand what's going on? I needed to actually be able to do it hands-on, so modeling was a big piece for me specifically. Then we give opportunities for the students to actually practice whatever the skill may be, and while they're practicing it, we provide feedback and reinforcement. So if you were to look at this kind of in a sports lens, from a basketball perspective, if I were going to teach a kid a new skill and I wanted to teach them a new move, I wouldn't just tell them, I want you to go do this move, right? Because then this kid's going to try, and maybe they're doing it right, maybe they're not. I would introduce whatever that skill may be, present why we would do it, model whatever that move is that I want them to try and do, and then have them practice, and while they're practicing it, give them feedback. So that's kind of how we present these skills to these students and what we're looking for. And this visual here is a great example. For any of you 3rd grade parents, the great decision-making model is something that you'll see in depth with that curriculum. It's basically a model where kids will get the visual right there. We'll go over what the great decision-making model is. We'll present the steps, so the GR, EA, and T, what they all stand for, how you break them down. From there, we'll get scenarios, and we, as the teachers, will model those steps for the kids and what to do and how to break down a scenario. Then from there, they'll go off, they will do it on their own, and we will provide them feedback as we go. So this is what you'll see throughout the entire curriculum, K-5, and even beyond here at the high school, we're the same way. So this is kind of really the best way that we've felt to make this productive. In terms of the implementation, students will get 10 health lessons K through 4. Okay, so 10 lessons throughout the year, and it will be done in the homeroom classes. And it will be done with Miss Orlando, Mr. Hawtaw, and Mr. Stella. Those will be the teachers that will be delivering the lessons. I believe Mr. Singali also does a couple of kindergarten at East as well. But and one of the things that's really been effective in terms of using the homeroom teachers is, number one, it gives the kids kind of that comfortable setting that they're in, that they know their homeroom teacher well. It's not like they're going off into the library and they're in a completely different setting. So they're more comfortable in that environment. But one of the things that's really been beneficial is just seeing how much the elementary homeroom teachers have bought into the curriculum as well. So we share our documents with them so they know exactly what's in the curriculum, and they sit in on the lessons with us. They're not just like, I'm going to go out and do my other work. They actually sit in on the lessons, and there's nothing better from our end than when you have a teacher come in and say, you know, there was an issue at recess today, and we actually used the great decision-making model to help the kids try and break down what they could do next time. They've really bought in, and it's kind of a nice way that we've embedded our curriculum into whatever the homeroom teachers are doing as well. And it's really been something that's been awesome, and it's allowed us to maintain constant communication throughout the year. And the reason why we've done this for the last few years, it was identified as the biggest gap in our K-12 curriculum. And again, that blended experience is really crucial. So this is kind of the setup of what you will see. And now I'm going to break down each grade level for you so you can kind of get an idea. So starting with kindergarten, they go off of our 7th standard, which is self-management. Okay, so students will demonstrate the ability to practice health-enhancing behaviors. And then through the content, we go over with personal wellness and safety. So if you take a look, see if my pointer works, it does. If you take a look right here, the wellness triangle is something that our students and your children will see pretty much K through 12. And it's basically breaking down all different levels and areas of our health and wellness. And we talk to our kids that a triangle is a very strong shape, and if you were to take a side off of a triangle, it would fall apart, right? So think about our wellness. We want to make sure we're strong in all of these areas. We're never going to be perfect in those areas, and we always want to improve, but these are the areas that we want, so ultimately we can have that optimal wellness. For kindergarten, we also show them this little graphic over here that makes it hopefully a little bit easier to understand. It's like a little stool, where those three parts of our health and wellness are the legs, and if you were to kick one of those legs off or take them off, that stool wouldn't be able to stand. And then you can also see the essential questions that are in there as well. So this is kind of how kindergarten's broken down, and one of the things I wanted to add this year, and you're going to see it here in a second, is some examples of student work of what they actually do. So if you take a look in kindergarten here, these are a variety of different lessons that you'll see. So there's not just one specific thing that we go over. We go over the specific skill, but we go do it through a variety of different concepts. So you can see on the very bottom right over there, we talk about eating the rainbow. We talk about why that's important. We talk about what are different foods that are a bunch of different colors, why they might be healthy for us. So you'll see a lot of students raise their hand and they'll say a banana or grapes or tomatoes or whatever it may be. And we break down each of those so that the students really understand, okay, these are all different kinds of healthy foods that are different colors, and that's why it's beneficial. We also go through our key terms of physical, social, and mental, emotional health. I think one of the coolest things when you teach the kindergarten and first graders is how to really get them to understand what they mean. So our kids, when we say physical health, talking about how our bodies feel, if you just say that to a kindergartner, they're probably like, okay, like my body. And we actually tell them, like, go ahead and flex for me real quick. So this is my physical health, right? It's how I feel, my physical body, it's how I feel. And then we do our social talking hands. And we say, what does that mean? Social health is how we communicate. And then we say mental health, and we have them just kind of tap their head. It's like, oh, how we think. And then emotional health, we have them make a heart. And we tell them that's like our emotions and our feelings. And I actually, every year when my ninth graders step in, I have them do this for me and see if they remember. And I'm not even lying to you, there's about 99.9% of them that remember exactly what we did back in elementary school. So it's really, really cool. You can see some of the other lessons that have been really beneficial. Being a good friend, we kind of break down what that looks like. Brushing our teeth, why that's important. And then obviously, accepting everybody and things of that nature. So that's kindergarten. Grade 1, we also stick with self-management. We felt like this was a good kind of way to blend both kindergarten and first grade together, because any of you that have a kindergartner going into first grade, you may think like, yeah, I'm not sure how much they're going to remember when they leave 10 lessons in kindergarten and get to have nice fun travels on the summer and come back to first grade. Are they going to remember? So we kind of kept it similar, but we changed up a little bit of obviously what the students are going to do in terms of concepts. So we went over what does it mean to be multidimensional. Again, we show them the triangle. What can we do to develop healthy habits? And then here's, again, a couple of different examples. We talk about the golden rule in first grade, about how to treat others the way you want to be treated and the benefits of that. We talk about what are things that make us happy and how can we identify those things. How can we identify those things in maybe our friends that might not be looking like they're happy and how we might be able to help them out. We go over some of the healthy habits. So you can see on the upper right-hand part of the screen, things like drinking water, the eating the rainbow piece comes in, hand washing, wearing a helmet, making sure you're getting enough sleep. And then the emotional part, again, we talk a lot about things with feelings and how to understand them, things of that nature. For grade 2, we go into our fourth standard, which is interpersonal communication. And it's students will demonstrate the ability to use interpersonal communication skills to enhance their health. So we go through a lot of things. You can see the picture there on the bottom is actually exactly what I was just talking about with physical, social, mental, emotional. They're making a little heart there for their emotional health. We do a lot of really fun activities in grade 2. They get to work with some Legos and try to build things and work together. And some of the tasks in the Lego activity are very challenging, and we do that intentionally to see how they work together when it's not working right. Because again, we're going over communication. So how are you going to express that it's not working right? Are you going to say, I'm taking over? Are you saying we're going to work together? Things like that. So here's a couple of examples for you in grade 2. So we go over things with body language. That's a big piece of interpersonal communication. We teach our students that communication isn't always just verbal, it's nonverbal. So what does our body language show us? Some of the healthy drawing stuff that we went over in terms of what keeps my body healthy, what makes me a good classmate. And then conflict resolution. This is one of the more specific checklists that we have them go through when we give them scenarios, or even for the Lego activity where they have to break it down. You'll see, if you ever look at one of those lessons and ask your children if they're in second grade, when that time comes, like, how did the Lego activity go? And see what they say. Some of them might say, I was very, very frustrated. My classmates weren't listening to me. And when we are giving feedback to them during those lessons, we will go through that checklist with them. Like, did you actually envision your best self, or did you get so frustrated that you just acted out? How are you able to communicate with one another? Were you all able to share ideas on how it might work? So those are some of the things that you'll see in second grade. Grade 3, we go to our 5th standard, which is around decision making. And again, there's our great decision making model. We have these in all of the buildings. I know at East, Mr. Singali also hangs this up in the gym as well, and he has used it numerous times in his PE classes. Anytime there's kind of a conflict and they break down, like, was that a good decision to make, things of that nature. We do read a few pages of The Summer My Father Was 10 when we break down the great decision-making model. A brief overview of that book. We don't go through the whole thing. It's about 3 pages that we read. And there's basically a young boy who's playing a baseball game with his friends. Somebody hits a baseball into their neighbor's backyard and it goes in a garden, and he has a decision to make to either get the baseball and keep playing, or take a lot of the tomatoes in the garden and start throwing them at his friends for something that's funny. He ultimately does that, takes the tomatoes, and they destroy the garden from this older gentleman who took so much time in actually preparing the garden. And we break down with the students, what are some other decisions they could have made? Who were they not thinking about in that scenario when he grabbed those tomatoes? He wasn't thinking about the older gentleman who took so much time and things of that nature. And it's really a great few pages that gets the kids to understand exactly what we're looking to do in terms of making great decisions. We break down simple and complex decisions for them, so you can see that up there on the screen as well. We also break down this activity here where basically we have them decide, like, is this a decision that takes a lot of thought, or is it something that pretty much anyone will do? So when you're talking about brushing your teeth, most kids say, like, yeah, there doesn't take a lot of thought. When I wake up in the morning, when I go to sleep at night, I know I need to brush my teeth, so they break it down. There's some other activities that we do that are a little bit more challenging, like you're riding your bike with your friends and none of your friends are wearing their helmet. What kind of decision are you going to make there? Are you going to try to make sure that you're safe? On top of that, are you going to try to make sure that your friends are safe? So there's different things that we give the kids, and you can see a variety of scenarios as well. For those of you that just walked in, when you guys are on the way out, if you want, we have examples of all the K-4 workbooks. If you want to take a look at these sheets up close and personal, they are all in there as well. Grade 4, we go to our second standard around analyzing influences and around personal wellness, drug awareness, and prevention. So we do a deep dive into the influences and the things that are around us. So we go over external versus internal influences. We use a gingerbread activity, which is always a fun one for the kids, where basically they will get a sticky note, and we will write a bunch of different influences on the board. They have to take it, write it on a sticky note, and either put it on the inside of the gingerbread, meaning that it's an internal influence, or on the outside, meaning an external. So you can kind of see here in the middle, things like family, we would hope that they would write it and put it on the outside, right? That's more of an external influence. Your feelings, we hope that goes in the center, because that's something that they control, things of that nature. We do a health behavior matching game where they go over where it fits in terms of the wellness triangle. We talk about the difference between being an upstander and a bystander. So how to act in a way to try to help someone versus maybe not taking any action, things of that nature. And we also do a pretty fun scale activity, which again is a very visual activity that the kids enjoy. And we basically put a scenario up there. We give them the kids marbles, and they have to decide whether it's a positive or negative. So, it's one of those things that they gotta get a nice visual idea of what we're trying to get across to them. So this has been pretty effective as well. All right. So we're going to go into the Connecticut General Statute here. So this is something that the kids will get K through 5. And basically it's around sexual assault and abuse prevention and awareness. Now, we will send out, if you have a 5th grader, we will send out an email when these dates get closer so that you are alerted of it. But I want to break this down for you guys a little bit and show you how we implement this to all of our students. So in terms of building the foundation, most successful prevention programs encourage effective communication and decision-making skills, empathy, build an understanding of respectful and healthy relationships, and it's been recommended to begin talking at an early age to kind of build this foundation. So the way that it is phrased for us and the way we go about it is through what we call healthy relationships. So when we teach this to our students, it's based around that specifically. So here's an example of all the information that will be brought up in terms of the grade levels. So you can see in kindergarten, it's very, very basic. Who are the people that care about you and want to keep you safe? Grade 1, what are some ways people show that they are happy? What might people show with their emotion based on how they're feeling? So on and so forth. And again, on that table to the left, there's a couple examples of work that the kids will get when they do these activities as well. But we keep it very age appropriate and try to keep it so that they understand the power of having healthy relationships in their lives and who they can go to and things of that nature that really allow them to feel like they can be heard with certain things and also empower them as well. Resiliency is another piece of what we teach our kids K through 12. You know, it's not just you have to rely on other people. There is a resiliency factor behind what we do. But it is important for kids to know where they can go and who to turn to and understanding their relationships that they have in their everyday lives, their relationships with their friends, with their teammates, things of that nature. So these are the breakdown of what that looks like. And here's some examples, again, of some of the work that they would do. So this up here is called our trusted tree of adults. So a student would write their name on the bottom, and then we have them identify who is a trusted adult that they could have in school, at home, and in the community. They usually draw and write them out there. This trusted circle one here is more 5th grade based, but they would write their name in the center. And then, I don't know if you guys can kind of see it, but it says most trusted is the next circle, and then some trust, and then just know them. And we have them break down, like, who are people, adults in your life that you have the most trust with? Who are the adults that you would go to no matter what if you were struggling with something and turn to? Who might be some people that you have some trust in, that you see kind of not as much every day, but someone that you would still rely on, things of that nature. And then on the upper right-hand portion of that is kind of a secondary lesson off of that and a different kind of visual. In terms of 5th grade, students are going to receive a quarter of health education. They will get 2 classes during a 6-day rotation. It'll average out to about 14 to 16 lessons for the entire year, and it will take place during their workshop block, and it's scheduled by their homeroom class. So for those of you that have 5th grade children, you can take a look at what team they're on and their homeroom teacher, and then you can see the dates of when they will receive health. And then Miss Orlando does green and purple, still, green and purple, and then Nick does blue and red. So that will be what they would do. And then you can see the 3 little dates that are on the bottom and the asterisk. Those will be the 3 puberty dates that the kids will get, and I'll dive into that here in a moment. But they will receive 3 puberty classes. We will send an email out when those dates get closer. In that email, there will also be some parent resources for you that allow you to kind of go over some stuff if you like with your child about what they're going to be talking about, what they're going to be reviewing. But this is a breakdown. I don't know if anyone wants to take a picture for just future use, but I can always go back at the end if you need to as well. So this is the rotations and the dates of when that would happen. In terms of grade 5, we go over really 2 standards. We go over self-management, which is standard number 7, and around personal wellness. I just want to point something out with this picture because this is one of my all-time favorites. This was our 2nd year together. Myself and Miss Orlando, when I was there, we got moved like every year in our classroom. But our 2nd year, we were at the very top floor, and we did this with our 5th grade students, where basically they would come in and we'd give them an orange sticky note, and they would write something that makes them happy. And we talked about, we want you to really think deep about what makes you happy, not like going home and playing video games. Like really think about something that clicks to you in your mind. And we would get some responses that would raise the hair on your arms. Like kids saying things like the feeling of seeing my brother and sister get off the bus and running to give them a hug. Or the feeling I get when I smell my grandmother's cookies on the holidays. And those, I'm kind of getting goosebumps talking about it right now. Those are the things that are so thoughtful that we love our kids to do. And the reason why we always started class with that is because we had read books in the past that really talked about the power of setting off a class on the right foot and getting kids in a mindset of something that was positive, and how that can change the outcome of not only that class, but the day for that student. So that year we did it with every single fifth grader that we had, and that entire wall, I don't know if you've ever been to Saks, but that top wall is pretty long and high. So you can see the complete outcome. This was our final day of doing it. And the best thing for me about this image is these kids that are in this picture just graduated last year from New Canaan High School. So it's really cool for us with health because we get to see all the students. It's not like a specific cohort or group that certain other classes might have. We really get to build a bond and connection with these kids that continues to go on. So this was a really special picture. Just wanted to kind of side note that. And they're still doing that now over at Saks. Now the rooms have changed, so they're doing it in different spots. But if you follow Mr. Gussich, the principal over there, he posts a lot of different things on Twitter or X, what it's called now, that they do. So if you ever want to take some time to look at that, we're continuing that. So we go over some stuff with personal wellness. Again, we go over the triangle. And then we also go over our fourth standard with interpersonal communication. We'll do things in fifth grade like learning how to say no to dares and kind of using your different kind of communication skills, whether it's trying to be assertive, whether you think you're being passive, whether you think you're being aggressive, how to kind of break those down. And you can see in that image up there, those students are actually reenacting a scenario that they got and really breaking it down nicely. Now, also in fifth grade, one of my favorite topics to teach when I was over there is human growth and development, or as I'm sure all of the students will bring it up as, that big word, puberty. So yes, it is a class that they are going to have. These are the essential questions that your students will be, or that your children will be seeing. The way that the puberty classes work is the girls will go to Miss Orlando's class, and the boys will be with Mr. Halta, and there will be 3 total classes. If you want to see the dates of when those classes are, these are them currently. Now, some of these may change with snow days or things of that nature that might come across, but again, if you have a fifth grade child, we will send you an email when it gets closer to this. So if you want to talk to them about the class in itself, you want to go over some of the stuff in the parent resources with them of what they're going to be learning about, you'll see those essential questions as well, and they'll be able to go through that. But to me, it was always one of the best lessons to go through, and the kids really understand the importance of it, and we do a pretty good job of breaking down everything that they need to know. So last but not least, I'm going to show you guys a quick video.
What is one thing?
So this video was from a few years ago, but I still think it kind of is very important to see. This is a video we made with some of our students talking about some of the things that they've learned at their time in health in elementary and fifth grade, and this is just a short little snippet of it.
You learned about in health this year.
A healthy habit is something you do every day and every night, and that was sleeping, and sleeping helps you get energy for the morning, and it can help you do math and social studies.
A healthy habit is playing basketball every single day because it helps you exercise and be stronger.
This year with Mr. Tisha, I learned to go to trusted adults, and that is when you're feeling uncomfortable, you can go to a trusted adult to help you. This year in health, we learned about conflict and ways to solve it.
One thing I learned about in health class this year is to make healthy decisions. One thing I learned about in health class is the triangle of health.
And what are the different sides of the triangle?
One is physical health, social health, and mental and emotional health.
And tell me a little bit about each side of the triangle.
Physical health is how you take care of your body. Social health is how you stay in a relationship. And mental and emotional health is how you think and feel.
An influence is something that affects your decision making and
having positive influences around you can help your decision making and affecting it in a good way, and having, whether your rest of your life or the rest of the week or something, being better. And if you have negative influences, sometimes and almost always, it will probably affect your life in a bad way. And
this year in health, I learned that assertive communication is really important in life, and how to be assertive instead of passive, where you let the other person take control and it's a lose-win, or aggressive, where you let yourself take control and it's a lose-lose for both of you. But when you're assertive, you're nice to the person, but you're still holding your ground and not letting them take down what you're the one saying, and that results in a win-win. And that's a skill that everyone has throughout their whole lives.
One thing I learned in 5th grade health this year is to be socially, emotionally, and physically healthy. They all are sort of related, because you're not really happy if you don't have all three.
So from
It goes further into the high school portion, but obviously this is for K-5. So I think that's a video that really kind of sums everything up. And hopefully you can see kind of the benefits behind the way we teach and why we teach. And at this point, I and Dr. Carenti or Ms. Orlando would be happy to answer any questions you may have. I'm going to turn my mic off to answer questions and come closer to you guys, because I've noticed that I keep popping my P sounds, which I learned when I was a communications major not to do. But without any further ado,